RDU 98.5, and welcome back to another audio antiquing. We have got an article written today by the infamous already within the audio antiquing world, Gareth Shute, and it's an article about Sola Rosa, aka Andrew Sprigon. Now, a great little brief moment here on about what's going on is Sola Rosa is the artist name of Andrew Spragon, but the project has grown to be a more collaborative over the years, with contributions from an array of talented musicians from Aotearoa and overseas. His first album, Solarized, won the Best Electronic category at the 2002 New Zealand Music Awards, kicking off a trio of gold-selling albums and an international following. Gareth, are you quite a fan?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I find it really interesting. I mean, the reason why we were talking about it today is because he's on tour at the moment, just released a new album in the mids, and he'll be down in Christchurch on 30th May. But it's also like the 25th year anniversary of his first album, so he's been going that long, you know, and
Wow.
so his career has really covered the changes in electronica over that time. So it's just that I think when you read the article, it's kind of what audio culture is quite good for when you do these longer um, form pieces versus
Mm.
a normal article about an artist where you just can't get into 25 years. But with this one, you can really, like if you go to the audio culture website and have a look, yeah, it's pretty in depth. But we'll do a little quick overview today.
Yeah, like what you've said here is one striking element of Sola Rosa's music is that it often slides effortlessly between genres, even within a single track. This partially reflects the mixed musical diet that Spraggan grew up on. There were his father's favourite yacht rock albums, apologies there, from the 1970s, and his brother's interest in post-punk and hip-hop, which inevitably led back to funk influences such as the Meters and Funkadelic. How much within his discography do you hear that effortless sliding between genres?
Yeah, I mean, even in his music playing at high school, he played in a band that was four keyboard players and a drummer, like real new wave style.
Oh my
And then he had
gosh.
like like a sort of ambienty post-punky band called Cicada, who were kind of like maybe like HDU, but more sort of chill. And so he did
True.
all that, but then he went to Mexico and got inspired by those sort of Latin grooves. And also at the same time, it was that big era of like, especially like DJ Shadow, Howie
Mm.
B, and Ninja Tune and Mowax labels. And so he just switched course. But because he had all that background, he can play guitar, so he can add those elements in at any time. So when he
Mm.
started, it was so early on, he just had a computer and a sampler and he was just trying to make this sort of music. And and so yeah, it was like totally uncharted territory, but he did his first release just like that with a sampler. But the second one he bought Cubase, which is a more advanced digital setup, YouTube tutorials or whatever. So what he did was he just got the guidebook that came with it, like the instruction manual, and he went through every page and tried the things that were on the page to
Oh
work
my,
out what they did. And that's how he taught himself how to make music,
that's
in those early
incredibly
days of
endearing.
sampling and beat making and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Like I really respect that. Wow, that's incredible. Wow, oh my gosh. Another thing that I thought was really really cool is what you wrote about here where you said as the popularity of Sola Rosa grew and sales of the EPs pushed past 500 copies, it became impractical for Spragon to keep up with the demand by burning them one by one. By the stage he was working out of his own studio behind the Lost Angel Cafe on K Road where he once worked, he updated his computer with the Cubase software. Like that's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
that's that era.
So it happened because there was just such a push for what he was
Yeah, so it was
creating.
he was doing it all by himself. Him and SJD. It's funny because SJD's so much more like just sort of relaxing sort of singer-songwriter music now. But
Mm.
SJD as well was that early era of sampling. And you've got to think like when they first started, there was no electronica category at the awards or anything. Like I think it was really actually the Christchurch group Salmonella Dub who like
Mm.
got best group and stuff in 2002, which was the same year they finally introduced that category, which Sola Rosa won. So it was really like even though dance music had been going for like over a decade, actually making it in New Zealand was so early on then. And
Mm.
so, yeah, and it was so tied to just sampling and making it yourself. So it was only over time, I think, Andrew increased Sola Rosa and brought in overseas musicians and local musicians to make a band. And that was how it sort of grew into the sort of mixed thing, like
Mm.
you were saying before, where there's the mixed sounds. He would just kind of, if he found a vocalist and he liked them and they were more of a dub musician, then he'd move a bit in that direction. Or, you know, he had like reggae musicians and stuff. But so he's kind of developed this, um, I guess it's quite a loungy style because of the Latin music and stuff. But when you
Mm.
see it live, it's really like dancey, And but he was always a polymath, like in those early years, early 2000s, he was the bass player in Dimmer as well with Shane Carter. So he's like always doing different things.
Oh my gosh,
But I
he's the
think the
man on the
album
spot.
I think the album Moves On was the first one where it is more moves into the modern era, even though it's like 2005 or whatever, because that's when he first started really working with overseas vocalists and realizing that if he reached out with good beats, or even went overseas and did sessions, he could get people like Spiky T was on that one, and um, yeah, and then get it together, especially. Um, Yeah, I think that's when he realized as well he should work independently because he had a manager for a while, but he actually ended up making way less money and going into heaps of debt when someone
Oh,
else was managing his career.
oh my
So,
gosh.
and he was with some major labels locally and stuff as well, but with a decade and a half. He works with labels overseas, like cool indie labels in the UK and Europe and stuff, but he really
Cool.
does it all by himself. And yeah, so that's when you start hearing I don't know. Like his big hits are kind of from that 2010 era, like the
Yeah.
Del Rey. I don't know if you know that tune.
I do
It's
know
like
that
actually an
tune.
instrument. Yeah, it's actually an
Yeah.
instrumental, but you can really hear that Latin sort of
Mm.
mariachi horn and stuff.
It's
And that
very
was on
cool.
I don't know if anyone remembers, but Putumayo used to have these world music compilations that were like really popular for playing in cafes and stuff. And it was on one of those.
That's so cool. It's kind I think especially with the type of music that he creates, you're right, it definitely does
Prison.
cater toward that yeah, it does cater towards the cafe and the more world style, hey.
Yeah, totally. That Latin thing still comes through.
Mm.
But then there's quite a sort of urban, not hip hop, but like urban R&B thing that comes into his music sometimes as well. He had um Kevin Mark Trail, who was the singer for The Streets,
Mm.
sang with him for quite a while, not only on a couple of songs, but actually toured as his vocalist and stuff. So yeah, Sola Rosa has um covered quite a lot of musical territory.
Mm. Sounds like Andrew is an undeniable talent within, the NZ scene.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think it's um even his new album, what I think with the new album, I've always loved Ivor Lancome, the singer, and her solo stuff seems to have mostly disappeared, even though it was amazing.
Mm.
But it once again pops up in a Sola Rosa album. She's been on a couple of his albums, so that's one of the cool things on the new album. And Maroki, the singer who used to be on like
Classic.
Benny's label and stuff's on there as
Yeah.
well. Like, so he's still doing cool new stuff with like great, great vocalists.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And is there any other like final thoughts or just any little quotes or anything you would like to share just before we wrap the interview up?
Well, I think if people are interested in going to see Solar Rosa playing Christchurch on the 30th, um, he has moved slightly back towards the dance music sort of presentation as a live show. So it's a smaller band, not the big funk band, but a smaller band, but still with vocalists and stuff. But what he does have now is amazing visuals. So if you go and look at his visualizers online for the songs, those sort of similar visuals will be on big scale as part of the show. So that'll be cool. And if you want to get a bit more history about his many ups and downs over his amazing career, check out AudioCulture. And I also did a fun story on there recently about New Zealand Songs for Charity that's pretty entertaining as well. If you want to go back and hear the telethon theme or those Flight of the Conchords ones or all the crazy ones in between, there's some pretty absolutely terrible ones that are quite fun to enjoy. So yeah, if you want to have a break from the terrible political news of the day, I think AudioCulture is always a nice place to go and have a little break from it all.
I've got to thoroughly agree with you there, Gareth. It's definitely a beautiful safe haven of just positivity.
Yeah, have a positive trawl, not one of these doom scrolls.
Oh God, of course. But no, thank you so much again for your time, Gareth, and thank you for another fantastic article. As always, it's always a pleasure.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gareth. Sweet as. So that has been another audio antiquing. I had Gareth Shute on again, and we were talking about his AudioCulture, which is just literally titled Sola Rosa. So that's SOLAROSA. So head online to audioculture.co.nz to check that one out, and I'll see you guys next time.